Today, what I'm going to talk about is going to be 10 times more boring than what the next panel will be talking about. It's about digital identity. And digital identity is such a very important topic, especially with tokenization, more people coming on chain, and also more assets coming on chain. The data economy has been monopolized by a lot of the big tech companies such as Google, Meta, and so on, and basically monetizing your data without actually giving you any benefits. We recently have signed with a massive partner based in Turkey, and they have been telling us we have been sending users for free to all these like Google Play Store, iOS App Store, and basically they are not able to monetize anything and get any benefits out of it. So it's not just the users, but also like how businesses are being extracted in terms of the value of the users going to the other platforms. What we're building here is we believe an open identity layer is going to be way larger than how Google, Meta are building their business right now. And they start to feel the threat already by adopting blockchain technologies such as zero-knowledge proof. I will share a little bit more later. An open identity layer, what that means is any kinds of identity protocols and projects can build on this layer, and you can own all those data in a unified way. And what that means is, like, originally your data on Uber or Grab, you cannot actually use that or share it with Airbnb or Foodpanda or any kinds of apps. And there are three major issues, right? So the first one is an open ecosystem versus a closed system. A closed ecosystem, basically, the data is not interoperable. You cannot bring your data from app A to app B, right? Google would basically tell you it's for data privacy reasons. They are not allowed to share their data across apps. But guess what? Like, they are the only party that has access to all the data. An open ecosystem can allow all these kinds of apps to build on top of this layer and able to unify all these data to yourself, and you can monetize it. You can actually maximize your access, your rewards, your benefits across the entire ecosystem. Second is data interoperability. Like, you see a lot of information fragmentation now. A lot of the data are actually residing in different apps or different systems. What if, like, for example, one experience I had in South Korea recently, I went to a hotel, I went to check in. It asked me to basically verify if I'm a Cathay Pacific Gold member or above. And I asked, so how do I verify? And they said, like, can you log in into the Cathay Pacific app in front of me and show me that you're a Gold member? It's a highly inefficient way and overexposing data and really unverifiable. So we're able to solve that problem. So we talk about Apple, Google, Meta. They're generating massive amount of revenue on a day-to-day basis. And it's all about selling data. Like, they would say that it's an advertising business, but technically it's an identity business. A lot of the other businesses you would think is a loyalty business, is a travel business, is a whatever business it is, but technically they're identity businesses. You see, like with Google and Apple announcing adopting blockchain technology, zero-knowledge proof for age verification in the wallet, you can totally see they can feel the threat and they're countering the threat right now. So we talk about the examples. LinkedIn is also an identity business. You saw them just announcing LinkedIn basically start monetizing their identity data externally. Basically what that means is third party can verify LinkedIn profiles, right? And also a lot of fake profiles on LinkedIn as well. How do you actually verify your education history, your career history? And you would think Starbucks, Marriott Bonvoy, Nike, these are retail businesses, right? But technically, they are also identity businesses. And why? If you look at the Starbucks financial statements, you would know how much money they're making from the Starbucks credit, right? Like the money that you deposit, having the credit and the balance, basically all those are generating revenue, and if you don't spend them, they're basically generating yield from it, right? If you think about it, it's pretty similar to stablecoin in some ways. But then what's more important is all these businesses are also identity businesses. To capture your data, what kind of coffee you order, how frequent you order, which store. If you log into Marriott Bonvoy, the domain name is not loyalty.bonvoy.com, it's identity.bonvoy.com. You will start to see a lot of more of these businesses actually emerging, actually disguised as a retail business and travel business, but technically they're selling data. You see also in the Web3 space, WorldCoin, Persona, being valued at a few $1 billion and really focusing on AI. My point is, with all these verticals, including Plaid.com, valued at $6 billion, verifying your banking data, verifying your credit card data, only within one single vertical. What if there is a layer that can allow you to own all these data across all these platforms, all within your single ownership, your privacy-preserved ownership, encrypted with only your private key? No one can take it away from you once you own it. When someone wants to verify that, you would generate a proof and allow any kind of companies to verify that. If you want to verify my data, fine, this is how much I would charge for verifying my data. You decide how much you want. You decide how much you want to maximize in terms of all these rewards. And the interesting part is, once you have this unification layer, all these data are interoperable. And what that means is, you can take your Uber data and go to Starbucks and verify it. What if Starbucks want to verify your Uber rating is over 4.5, right? Or maybe Bonvoy wants to verify your airline status so that they can match the status. You already see that Bonvoy already matching status with airline, but it's not a very scalable way. With our product, with Moca network infrastructure, you can actually do that. And the most interesting part is we would foresee a lot of the emerging identity protocols being built with our end-to-end identity infrastructure. With the Moca chain, with the AirKit SDK, basically you have all the tools you need to become another loyalty, to become another travel business, to become another point system, to become another banking verification system. What you only need is to build an ecosystem there, and you already have that. So this is a very traditional data model here. You see data broker. Data broker technically is Google. The example that I shared with you, all the data are being residing in all the different apps. The only company that has the whole view of and access to all the data is basically Google. They use data privacy as a reason to not share data across apps. And they are the only party that have access to all the data. The only choice as a business is that you need to pay them in order to access those data and reach those customers. I'm not going to spend too much time on this in terms of issues, but like the long story short of this is what we're doing is we're going to remove the data broker and allow the user to directly own the data and interact and verify all these data across as many apps as possible. So with Moca Chain and AirKit, basically we're solving 5 problems. With the self-sovereign identities, you own your data, you can basically verify them anywhere with zero-knowledge proof. With AirKit, the apps and the partner basically integrating with AirKit, you're able to verify and issue any kinds of data so that once you integrate with the AirKit, all the data and users are interoperable. A lot of the chains that we talk about, we keep talking about chain as an ecosystem, but if you think about it, there's never true interoperability within a chain. The projects don't really work together. If they work together, it's only at a very shallow form. And that shallow form is probably as an example of exchanging whitelists or airdropping or the same KOLs talking about the same project. But what is truly going to bring synergy and network effect in the whole space is through identity data. If all these partners and apps can cross-verify each other, cross-funneling users over, you're able to verify their historical data within the other app in the same ecosystem, like the whole user cross-pollination would be very powerful. So I'll just fast forward like to the end game here. So what Moca chain here is actually solving is to allow user to own their data, generate the zero knowledge proof, present that proof to any apps, right? And you can also onboard any kinds of web data, and that's very powerful, right? And why is it powerful? Because you would be guessing, for instance, if you want to get your bank account balance data, we need to work with the bank. Or we want to get whatever travel status data, we need to work with Marriott or Cathay or whatever airline it is. But with our technology, you are able to basically not relying on any kinds of centralized entity, and you can onboard any kinds of data you see on the screen. So it can be your bank account balance, it can be your credit card data, it can be your travel status, it can be your healthcare records or anything. So here's a quick demo in terms of how it works. We built a very easy to use dashboard for data issuers and data verifiers to define the data that they want to attest to the identity, make it very easy for verifiers to set the logic, right, what they want to verify. So some example is, for example, as a data issuer, what you want to issue is the date of birth of the user. So what you can do is define the field and the attribute of the data that is date of birth. The verifier can use the dashboard to basically define a program and saying that I want to only verify if the user is over 18 or not. And in this example, in the normal circumstances, we are oversharing our data, such as date of birth. If the only purpose is to verify if the user is over 18 or not, I don't really need to know the date of birth. But with our platform, you're able to define that logic in a way that you're not exposing your date of birth data, but you're able to verify that you are over 18 or not. So going forward, you don't need to overshare data. And what's more important than that is basically you can unify all these data and verify by basically maximizing your access and rewards here. So I'm pretty sure most of the people here has done KYC probably more than 10 times. And your KYC could have been reused and only share selectively with certain parties. So you see here as well, once you onboard and visit an app, and app asks you to verify your data, this is the user experience. You basically click a few buttons, and then you can have the ownership and the control over what you want to share with that platform. And also the verifier, which is the platform, can also verify your data without getting access. All the history in terms of who is querying your data, what data is being stored, not the context of the data, but all that transaction history is being recorded on-chain. Here we have integrated with a few examples. So on your left here is basically integrated with the largest telecom in South Korea. It's the second largest company in Korea called SK Telecom. And basically you get close to 30 million KYC users in this app. Moca's AirKit product is integrated there where you can actually onboard onto a smart account, onboard onto identity, own your data that is being issued by SK. And what's more powerful is in the middle, OneFootball can basically, because they're using AirKit, they can basically cross-verify the app on the SK side, right? So in a way that basically OneFootball can be like, hey, come and verify your SK users. You have spent more than $10,000. I'm going to give you a Champions League free ticket, lucky draw. And that normally cannot be done unless all these companies are integrating with one another, which is almost impossible to do in Web 2. And also on the right here, you see basically the KYC process is one of our partners that basically you can generate your KYC data on the device without exposing to any centralized entity. And everything stay on your device, but then that data can be verifiable across all these apps without exposing your raw data. So feel free to join us and learn more about what we're doing. We do truly believe digital identity is going to be really, really instrumental to drive adoption in the space. I actually just came out of a meeting with the Vietnamese government on NDA chain. So the Vietnamese government just announced a couple weeks or 3 weeks ago that they're launching the NDA chain. And NDA chain is actually acting as the identity chain where you can actually own your data and also authenticate and verify across Vietnam companies. So just imagine, like government, we're not only talking to the Vietnamese regulators, but also regulators in the UAE, regulators in basically many different countries. And the adoption of identity will start from here. Thank you.